please note up here where it says number 7, comma 11-13. The comma separates different numbers. When it's a dash, though, it's everything in between.
I thought the comma was.
No, the dash is everything in between.
Oh, okay.
So it's number 7, then it's 11, 12, and 13.
Oh,
The dash is what
okay.
indicates everything in between.
Yes.
Okay?
But then what about when we're talking about points?
Say again.
You know when the points, when you have a point, you break it? Oh, wait, no. I don't know what I'm saying.
I want to help you more. I honestly just don't fully know what you're saying.
No,
She's talking about the little.
When you put the comma that signifies like everything in between.
Oh. Yeah, so not points. When you're talking about domain and range. Yes,
oh, yeah.
but that is the interval notation. It is unique to that situation.
Oh, okay.
Desiree, I'm looking for extra copies of that, but I don't see any, and I apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
Well, I mean, you kind of need it.
I'm good.
No, she's good. She don't want to do math today.
It's okay. She got her table.
That's it.
You can just give her markers she can write
Here's-
on the desk.
That was. Okay, here's
Not that simple
6.6.
right there.
The homework sheet.
Oh, pop.
I don't see any of the
Okay, make it
written
spread.
sheets. Or, yeah, the
I think
homework for the week sheets.
Make it spread more.
Shut up.
Which I know you are super disappointed by. But I kind of need it. Lovely.
Shelby, nobody
Shelby.
cares.
I'm sorry.
Dang,
You got an operant bird.
shut your mouth.
It's not off-brown. It
Operant.
is a bird.
Operant. What bird is it?
I don't understand the one that says,
Yeah, I can't find that homework sheet.
yeah, I
I'll give
don't.
you the original copy.
Mister, I have heartburn.
Yeah, fight.
You have heartburn.
Oh my gosh, sometimes I have that too. My chest hurts. We have a game today of playoffs. The last.
If ADHD was a person, it would be you.
What?
Who's
No.
that?
I don't have that disorder.
I don't know that I disagree with, or I agree with you on that one, Kelsey.
You don't think I have ADHD?
No, you do.
No.
I will say this, I don't know about ADHD, ADD, that's a different story.
What's that?
So
Can't pay
attention,
attention.
Oh yeah, I do have that sometimes. I just
Yes.
don't-
Maybe a
ADD
little
is
bit of-
attention deficit disorder, ADHD is attention.
Where you need a fidget spinner?
What?
Where you need a fidget spinner?
Hyper something.
Yeah,
The people that use
I had
fidget spinners.
ADHD.
I messed up with
You might have a little bit of
I'm not
dyslexia.
hyper.
Should you?
You spell Tennessee like awful.
That has nothing to do with dyslexia. That's just not spelling correctly.
It's dyslexia.
P.S. A whole bunch of us are spelling a lot of things wrong. I made notes of it on
It's because I read too
6.6.
fast. Leave me alone.
It's not just you.
for spelling something wrong.
No,
I
but
missed it.
I ask you to do things intelligently. I messed up the whole bunch on this one. So I do want you to learn how to spell well. Okay, what questions do you have off of
How you pointing me?
the homework questions?
Oh, can you go over the
13.
April 27th homework?
13, April,
This one.
the review homework question.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know about it.
So the review homework question. Let's start there, 'cause that is a good question. First off, if you just read this the situation, the context closely, you can answer this very easily. But also, I want you to notice, what did I make to help me make sense of this?
You made a table.
Right.
And I'm gonna do it too. Can you give me a second?
Like, those are always useful.
Yes.
The harbor at Greentop Lake has a lot of green algae at the end of the summer. However, as the weather gets colder, the algae begins to die, or begin to die. At the beginning of fall, the harbor has 150,000 square feet of algae. So guess what that's going to be?
That's gonna be the starting point.
Before a single month has gone by, you have 0 months, 150,000 square feet of algae. Notice how I even defined those variables.
Yes.
But read the next part, because a lot of us miss this. Suppose half of the algae dies per month. Half. How would I represent that idea?
You would divide. Half means cut in half. Divide.
Give me a single number that could represent the idea of half.
1, 2, or 1,
0.5.
Okay, 0.5 works. Another one.
1 divided by 2.
1 divided by 2. Half of. When you have a fraction or a percent of, what are you doing?
Sure, divide.
Dividing.
Wait, what did you say again?
A fraction or a percent of.
I thought it was dividing.
Means out of 100. Percent means out of 100.
Multiplying.
Oh,
Multiply.
multiply. Yeah.
Okay? Because what type of function has a multiplicative
Exponential.
rate of change? Thank you, an exponential. A lot of us, I saw, going over to here, and we understood half, so we were dividing by 2. But is it easy to convert that to a function?
No, I don't have no idea how to do that.
But think again about this. Dividing by 2, isn't that the same thing as just multiplying by 1 divided by 2? Because it's the reciprocal, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be easier to do it as that 1/2. I started at 150,000 square feet of algae, and I was repeatedly multiplying by 1/2, and then how do we show repeated multiplication? Yeah, and so that exponent needed to be m, right? To
Yes.
show that it could change how many times I was multiplying by 1/2.
Yes, I got mine wrong.
I know, most of us did, but that's why we need to learn from our mistakes, grow and get better. That's why this was not for accuracy, this was just for an attempt to see what you could grow and learn from.
Well-
One thing I want to remind you of is we should recognize that this is exponential, so it has a multiplicative rate of change. Does anyone remember what the name of a multiplicative rate of change is? Remember, an additive rate of change was a slope or a common difference. The multiplicative rate of change is called the common.
Ratio.
Geometric sequence.
Well, that's a type of sequence, but it's called a common ratio,
Oh, okay.
which is a ratio between the current and.
Previous. The first previous one.
So if I start with 75,000 as my current, what's previous to that?
The one before.
What?
The one before that one.
Yep, which is?
Was that 150,000.
Any guesses what 75,000 divided by 150,000 is?
Maybe 37,500.
Okay, any other guesses?
Wait, no, just kidding. It's gonna be a negative number.
What, 6?
I don't have a calculator,
You
so I
can
don't
get a calculator.
Calculator.
so you
7, 6,
You're randomly guessing. Pick up a calculator.
7.
pick up a calculator. I got it over there.
1/2.
Oh yeah, because
Wow.
the common ratio is my what? Multiplicative rate of change. And what was I repeatedly multiplying by? Oh, 1/2. Notice, let's say I take 18,750 and I do a ratio to its previous value of 37,500. Hey, what's that common ratio going to be? 1/2. Notice it is much easier if you remember that a multiplicative rate of change is called a common ratio, and you literally just do a ratio of the current to the previous. That gives you the 1/2 automatically. And your calculators will spit that out for you.
Yes.
Does that make it easier to write these equations moving forward, hopefully?
Are you able to call Hillcrest Middle School?
Yes. How is that helping you learn math right now?
Well, I'm kind of worried for my brothers. I need to tell them that they need to ride the bus.
I'll let you go talk to the office during enrichment.
Alright.
Alright. 7, 11, 12, or 13. First off, are there any questions about this review homework before we move forward?
Nope, I understand now.
Wait, what
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
what is that one? Wait, never mind.
Okay. Really quickly, I do want to reinforce this idea or help you remember this idea. Obviously, review homework is helping you review skills we've learned before, but also, like, if anyone was struggling earlier in the year or didn't pass any quarter, the last couple weeks of school, I'm going to be reassessing these skills that we're doing in the review homework. So if you can show me, hey, I know how to write the explicit equation, the recursive equation for linear and exponential functions, I will reward that, and I will say, hey, this person has shown me mastery over these skills. They can pass for this quarter. So that's why I'm doing these review homeworks, is for those of y'all who did not pass earlier, you can still pass by showing me that you've learned this content better. So the review homeworks matter. I don't care when you learn, I care that you learn. All right, 7, 11, 12, or 13.
Okay, I got 7 and 12 confused.
Yeah, that's one that a lot of people get confused. Notice the starting point, the y-intercept is 5 for both of them, right?
Yes.
And then here we're repeatedly subtracting 2, and here we're repeatedly subtracting 2. So when you look at B versus D, what's the difference between these two?
The
One has a line going through it.
one is continuous and B is discrete.
So D is continuous
Yeah.
and B is discrete. So that's the only difference. We need to recognize that the starting point and the rate of change are exactly the same, but one is continuous, one is discrete. And this is a detail to go back to, a recursive equation. Notice how it only allows you to connect the current to the previous one before it. So is that going to continue everywhere, or is that just going to be those isolated points? Okay, well let's look at it. So let's do, so n and f of n. So 0th term is 5, so then I can only go to 1 ahead, so the first is 3. Because of the way this recursive is set up, can I get stuff in between 0 and 1? No. So it is important to notice that a recursive equation are always discrete. But an explicit, depending on how it's set up, it can be continuous or discrete. But because number 12 was recursive, it had to be a discrete one. That's why number 12 was B and number 7 was D. Does that answer your questions completely, Shelby?
Yep.
Okay. Any
What
other
about
questions?
E?
Huh?
E, 13.
13? Okay.
I do not understand any part of that.
But again, I want to remind you, did you ever think to make another mathematical representation here? No?
No.
I'm going to go by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So the first point is negative 7.5, 7.5. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So here, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Is the f of x y? Is that y?
Mm-hmm.
So it says x plus
So negative
y.
1/4. So
I mean-
here,
Y plus x? You'd add them together?
1/2, negative 1/2. And 11.6 and negative 11.6.
Oh, I see.
Hey, what kind of function is that?
Wait, hold
I
on.
got
Oh,
it.
that's linear.
That's linear. That's literally a line, isn't it?
And then
Yeah.
when you add the y plus the x in it, it gives you 0.
Yeah, if we add the x and the y, it always gives me 0.
I didn't even notice that.
But that's one of those things like that. That's why the answer is there. Notice G is exponential, F is quadratic, E is linear, D is linear, but we already used it. C is quadratic, B is linear, but we already used it, right? The only other linear left was E. So this is why we might want to make other representations to make sense out of it, right? So as soon as you make a graph, you're like, oh, that's a line. E is the only one left.
How do we know that that's linear?
What, y plus x? Equals 0?
The table thing. I would be looking at that and know it's linear. Oh,
That's my point. Sometimes we can't look at it right away and know, but could you make a table, or could you make a graph?
the answer is linear?
No, the answer is E.
Yeah, I know, but is that linear?
Well, it's y to what power? The first,
Yeah.
and x to the
1
first.
first.
Doesn't that look a whole lot like a standard form?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both to the first power. That's a linear equation.
Oh.
But again, also just, hey, if I'm adding my x and my y, I get 0. Ready to move forward? Okay. Hopefully that helps you wrap it up tonight, because you will have a little bit more, actually not tonight, you'll have more on it tomorrow night. Tonight is just studying for the understanding check that we have tomorrow.
Yeah, because I was
Oh, wow.
something.
I hope you still study.
No.
Well, you also
Hey,
have
stop.
2 review questions, I think, review homework questions. Okay. But we're going to look at our objectives and we're going to look at 6.6, how does it grow? Please note, I went through everyone's 6.6 task, I gave them back to you. Leave the paperclip on there, or leave the paperclip with your stuff, because at the end of today we're going to return it again so I can give you more feedback and give it back to you tomorrow. Okay? I did not put a grade on here, as in I'm grading it, put it in the grade book, but I did put scores on there so that you can clearly see how well you're understanding it and things like that. I also tried to give you feedback, intentional feedback, to help you move higher up and things to think about so that you could do better in the future. Yes, Kelsey?
No.
Okay. Peyton, go ahead and join Kelsey and Corell since they're
No,
down to
send
2.
it to the other group.
Nope, too bad. You get up and moving. Alright, I think that's it. Let's look at our objectives. So, don't forget, I will construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. If I were to just say, I think you're wrong, I think that the function is linear, is that an argument?
No, you have to provide your justification.
You have to provide your justification, your evidence.
Yeah.
Some of us need to be providing evidence and justification within our writing, Corell and Peyton. We need to do better.
Oh, you calling us out? Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you
There's
said-
only like 6 of us
We
here.
need to do better of saying, hey, and some of us are actually have the evidence on the paper, but we're not connecting the evidence to our position statement. I think it's a linear function because the function is repeatedly adding 1/3. Or because the function has a slope, right? I'm saying a statement and giving a justification with that statement. That is a viable argument, and we need to be listening to each other's arguments and critiquing them. You thinking about what someone else says and then critiquing them, or saying, oh yeah, I agree because of this, this, and this, that's going to help you learn the math much better, okay? Now we do have to attend to precision within that. A whole bunch of you, especially in this class, y'all got pretty far ahead compared to other classes. So you will see notes where if you finish early, like if you finish today or if you finish tomorrow before everyone else, you need to go back to some of the ones that you've done previously so that you can improve them. So a bunch of us will see that. But the whole thing is translating functions into a mathematical representation is not given. And you need to always think about that. Man, this thing doesn't make sense to me, like this table here. Hey, that table doesn't make sense to me. Okay, cool, make a graph. Make something else to make sense out of it. And then differentiate linear, exponential, and quadratic functions. Please look at notes that I gave you so that you can see what you need to improve upon before you start working today. Ask questions if you're unsure what I mean by things, but let's go ahead and get started on 6.6. I think most of us were already on number 9 or later.
And when do I get the ones that we did before?
You can get them after tomorrow when I return them.
Because I